put this up here.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Action Online Summit event from Dubb. Today we have Steve Heroux, and we're going to get into a topic that I think a lot of us need to learn about, which is building trust in a virtual world, specifically for sales. So I think there's a lot of things that we can learn here. Steve, if you could just start with a short bio and let's get into this.
Sure thing, man. Thanks, Ruben, for having me.
Absolutely.
Love everything and anything to do with sales, and I appreciate the opportunity to share because, a lot of the stuff that I teach is probably a total 180 of literally everything you and your audience has been taught. Run a company called Victory Selling, and we teach people how to sell with honesty and integrity and humility. A lot of things that we really didn't grow up thinking was an important piece to being in professional sales. And so my background, I started selling Cutco knives when I was 18 years old after I was deathly afraid of people. My parents told me I was an idiot. You're never going to make any sales. And by the way, my parents are the Costanzas from Seinfeld. So you get to see the supportive environment I grew up in. But stayed with Cutco. My senior year was #1 in the country selling Cutco knives. Ended up running sales teams for them for 4 years. Then I went to the company with the duck. You've probably heard of Aflac before, y'all. 13 years with Aflac. Somehow, kid that didn't say anything, made it to #1 in the country with Aflac as well. And again, I left at the top of my game because I got more joy and pleasure out of coaching and teaching and training. And so that's what I do now. So I work with salespeople, entrepreneurs, individuals, big companies all around the world to help them become more effective in selling in 2021. So I'm just pumped to share a little tidbit with y'all today about building trust, which seems to be a pretty difficult thing to do in this kind of virtual world we live in.
So well said. Yeah, well, let's get into it.
Let's jump in, man. I'm going to dive right in. And again, as we go through some of the things I'm going to teach y'all today, maybe they're review, maybe they're new, but try to take 1 or 2 good things away and implement those in your business. And you're going to see some great success because this virtual thing is not going away. 2019, by the way, Zoom, December of 2019, Zoom had 10 million users per day. Today, March, whatever this is, 19th, 2021, Zoom has 300 million people on it a day. Not to mention StreamYard and Restream and Teams and all that. So this medium, y'all, is not going away. And the first tip is to connect with people before the meeting. Do not just show up to a virtual meeting, y'all. Way too many salespeople do this. We're not preparing. There's no rapport building. You're just jumping in. And the wham, bam, thank you, ma'am thing in sales is not a good thing. And it's certainly not good in a virtual medium. So you've got to connect before the meeting. So what do I mean by the meeting? Well, if you're an executive, you're going to have executive meetings. If you're a CEO, you're going to be meeting with your COO, your CFO, ops manager, all those things. You have staff meetings you need to be effectively communicating at, through, to whom. So make sure you're prepared for executive meetings and to be good at this communication and this medium for those. Obviously, this is a conversation about sales, so you want to be effective in your sales meetings. All hands on deck meetings, just meetings with the rest of your staff. If you run companies, if you run teams, you've got to be good there. Next one-on-ones. It's very hard to do one-on-ones, QBRs, right? Quarterly business review meetings with your sales team. If you run a sales team, if we can't meet in person, you've got to do those virtually. Are you effective at those? And then lastly, for M&A meetings, there's companies out there, entrepreneurs that want to raise money, exit, sell, all those things. How do you do that effectively if you can't be in person? Well, obviously, you're going to be doing your pitch, your term sheets, all that stuff is going to be virtually. Are you good at that? So you've got to connect with people before the meeting. And what do I mean by that? Email, text, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, I don't care what it is. You've got to connect with people before the meeting. You cannot just show up because we can't have that building rapport time like we used to when we were in person. So you've got to take the time to get to know somebody before you just show up and start to do your meeting. So I'll share a couple communication examples. This is an example of an executive that I would recommend send to their team or sales leader to their team before a meeting. And you can get the gist of it on the screen, but it starts off with a good thing. Thank you so much, Ruben. I'm really proud of what y'all accomplished last month. Please remember to bring your one action item to the next meeting that you're going to talk about doing, implementing in your business the next quarter, the next month, whatever. I'm really looking forward to our Zoom together. It's going to be Thursday, 3 o'clock sharp. I'll see you then. Link and password below. Don't forget to have your camera on. Quick, to the point reminder. The next example is something I send to a prospect. So if I'm going to talk to a CEO about coaching, leading their sales team, their sales managers, doing training for them, I send something like this. So, hey, Ruben, hey, Kristen, here's a few things that'll make our call on Thursday more productive. By the way, it's not going to take you very much time. I send them recent testimonials, which are video testimonials and written. I send them my sales team audit. It's a quick kind of jot form type of survey they takes 10 minutes to give us a blueprint of where their organization's at. I made a quick video. It's just a 2-minute clip of how we help companies. So again, they're getting that YouTube clip because people want to watch video. They don't want to see text. And then I give them a test drive of my online virtual training platform that they could see how effective it is to be able to hold their team accountable, to see who's doing my lessons, who's doing my training, who's passing the quizzes. So those are just 2 examples of connecting before the meeting. Obviously, you can have a quick phone call as well. But why should we connect before the meeting? First impression control. First impression control, y'all, is way, way more important today than it was 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, because we have less to go by. There aren't any handshakes as much anymore. So we have to give a good first impression. And that first impression shouldn't necessarily come from you. It should come from something we call third-party credibility. And what's third-party credibility? Recent testimonials, reviews, recommendations, online reviews, the things that you have in your business, the nice things people have said about you, you should be sending to other people. You should not be telling people how amazing you are. Let other people say that. So one quick tip, especially LinkedIn, because so many people underutilize this platform. You got to have reviews and you got to have recommendations. They call them on LinkedIn testimonials. Have recent ones. I had a conversation with a CEO earlier today, and I told him, Mike, the last recommendation you have is from 2013. So we've got to have them updated, and you got to have a lot of them. People don't really think this is important, but if somebody wants to look you up today, they're going to LinkedIn. And if you have no recommendations, you have 2 recommendations, none of them are recent, people are going to think something different than maybe you'd want them to think. So make sure you have those on there. Tip number 2, everybody, is people are watching. These cameras are not 2-way mirrors. Didn't know if you knew that, but people can see you on the other side. So let me teach you something, and I want you to remember this. And if there's only one thing you get from our time today, it's this. Beware of resting Zoom face, because some of y'all have this. And the impression you want to give off, everybody, is not that you just murdered a family of 5. That's not a good look for people to see on the other side. So be aware of what your resting Zoom face looks like. You do not want to look annoyed, angry, pissed off, not want to be there. You've got to pay attention. Even if you're not speaking, look in the camera, just smile and pay attention. Because guess what? People can see you and they're paying attention. And one of the things we teach is paying attention to facial expressions. And the best men and women poker players in the world, you probably know this, everyone, do not play their cards. They don't play the opponent's cards. They play the opponent. And how do they do that? Tells. Guess what we all have? Tells. So how do you get great at selling? Pay attention to people's tells. What are they? Body language, mannerisms, blinking, eye movements, eyebrow movements. All of those things are important. And we don't pay attention to them because as salespeople, we're just yapping, doing our features and benefits thing, and we're not paying attention to the most important thing, which is nonverbal communication. And I don't know if y'all know this, but nonverbal communication, depending on the study you look at, between 55 and 95% of our communication. So if I can't see theirs, I can't be as effective. If they can't see mine, I can't be as effective. You get it? It's both. I need to be able to see them. They need to be able to see me. So when you're giving a Zoom meeting, a StreamYard, any type of virtual meeting, you should always be standing. Always. They need to be able to see facial expressions, body movements, hand movements, all those things. They do not get anything if you are the home improvement guy. They don't do that. So you have to make sure you're standing so people can get the full picture of what you are trying to communicate. Appearance and background. This is so critical, everyone. I wish we had more time to talk about this, but you can see my background. It's not a virtual background. It's not Starship Enterprise. It's not the freaking moon. Like, you're not 6. Get a background that's legitimate. Set it up. Get the right lighting. Get the right camera. Make sure you look in the camera. Get the right equipment. All of those things matter. If you want to be treated like a professional, you have to have a professional business. And if people can see your background and it looks like a pipe bomb went off back there, or you've got the Mars background, whatever the hell it is, just understand that impression is going to stay with you. That's the halo effect, y'all. The halo effect is critical because the halo effect states the first impression we have of somebody generally dictates the way we feel about the rest of our interactions forever. So if it's good, it will stay good. If it's bad, it will stay bad. So make sure you pay attention to that, everybody. And then tip number 3 is to create a memorable experience. We as speakers, trainers, coaches, salespeople, whatever we call ourselves, we have to understand that our audiences are going to forget most of what we're teaching them. It's just human nature. It's just the way our brains work. So how do we make sure they remember at least 20% instead of 10? Well, you've got to tell stories and you've got to be memorable. See, people remember stories. When you were a kid, you remember bedtime stories. Y'all that have kids now, you read your kids bedtime stories. That's what we remember. People don't remember facts and figures. And lastly, people remember how you made them feel. And I think this gets overlooked a lot because in sales, we get taught all this ABC crap, always be closing, features and benefits, all this garbage, right? All this old school stuff that doesn't work. It didn't work then. It doesn't work now. It sure as hell doesn't work in 2021. People want the customer experience. They remember the interaction. They remember if you were engaged, if you were paying attention, if you were looking at them. They don't remember if you were not on camera. They don't remember if all you did was talk about facts and figures. They remember if you care. And those are just a few things that I think will help y'all become better at building trust in this virtual world, because this is not going away, everybody. This is the new normal. Yes, will we get back to belly? Sure. I like it. I was in Texas twice in the last 2 weeks giving some Vistage talks, but it's still going to be important for you to be really great at this medium because it's so much more effective for other companies. There's less travel. We can do more meetings. We can help more people, and it's less invasive. So I hope y'all got some stuff out of that. I know it was quick, dirty, quick hits, but I think it's going to be helpful for you moving into the future to understand the power of building trust quickly, even when we can't shake hands with people. So hope that was helpful, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Steve, for that. That was tremendous. One of the things that I have sort of embraced is not my background, but my foreground, and how often it includes some of the kids. So where can folks learn about you, about your company, about your practices? If you have any offers on your website, would love to learn more.
Sure. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's pretty simple, everybody. VictorySellingSystem.com. I'm on LinkedIn a lot, so if you'd like to connect on LinkedIn, happy to connect on LinkedIn. Instagram, Steve Heroux is IG. And I just appreciate everybody paying attention, listening, learning. My entire goal, passion in life is to completely just change the perception of salespeople and sales trainers and help y'all understand that having a career in professional sales, speaking, business is amazing. And if we put the needs of other people first, again, we'll get whatever we want. That's an old Zig Ziglar thing, and it's still never been more true than it is today. So thanks again, man. I really appreciate the opportunity to share.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Steve.